Hey everyone, so I actually got a video editor, which is really nice because now I can record just a bunch of gameplay videos from RTA and then I can upload them and talk over them and talk about my choices and why I made the decisions I did. And actually, this is going to be really nice for me too because I'll be able to look at, some old gameplay and see what I did wrong, see which characters I could have picked differently or which plays I could have picked differently. So this will be pretty cool, and this will be the first rendition of it. Obviously, if you guys like this kind of format, let me know. I'd really like to hear you guys' opinion on that. I know a couple people have requested more RTA videos, and for the longest time, I haven't been able to do it because, well, I didn't want people to just sit there and wait for, the matchmaking time to sit there and me have nothing to say. So, anyway, this is our first go at this, and I hope you enjoy. So our first match here is with Stannis, and I know he has a really strong Holy Armor Virgil along with some other strong characters, but I figured that Holy Armor Virgil is definitely the hardest character for me to counter because I know how tanky he is, especially if he first picks Nero, because that's usually how I deal with Holy Armor Virgil. And since he does get first pick here, I'm glad that I picked Holy Armor Virgil because he ends up picking Nero, which I always like the first pick as well, so that makes sense. But since he first picked Nero, it made sense for me to choose Ashlyn because Ashlyn is a nice counter to Nero, putting up those 2-turn stuns. And then I went with Halia as well to kind of counter the offset of speed with Nero's aura. So then he goes with Aurea and then Garnet. So here, I like picking Jonathan because, one, Jonathan's also a way to mitigate some damage with Nero, and it kind of puts him in a position where he thinks I might ban Garnet. So it's a little bit of cat and mouse here. And then I picked Jocasta, one, because it helps counter Aurea if he ends up banning the Halia. And then on top of that, if he ends up banning Jonathan or something like that, I end up being able to counter his Garnet negative effects. So here he goes with Rachel, which you don't see a whole lot in RTA, so I think he's trying out some new things here. And that makes me think that Jonathan's just staying in. So then he goes with Dark Vow, which is just a broken character, and I last picked Levi just as a good general character. So here I was thinking about banning Nero, but in the end, Dark Valeria is just way too strong. And like this, I thought he was going to ban Ashlyn, just in case, just in general. So I wanted another threat like Levi that could deal with anything that he could throw at me other than Nero. So I definitely want to try and take down here his Rachel first because she's going to get rid of my Jonathan, and I need Jonathan to help me beat Nero here. So I put up Jocasta's ultimate, which, like I said, helps deal with the Garnet. If I decided not to ban the Garnet, which I didn't. So we're waiting to see what Aurea is going to do, because again, he's kind of in a pickle here. He doesn't want to attack the Levi, because the Levi could negate, that invincible on him. I hope that made sense. Like, if you don't hit Levi, then that invincible doesn't fall off that Jocasta put up. So he ends up going with Jonathan. So here, I'm definitely taking out this Rachel before she can do any more damage to Jonathan. And I get a true strike hit, which I think helped. And then I get a second proc with Levi, which is nice. And then here I got to heal up Jonathan, because again, I need him for Nero. And he's trying to take out Jonathan. I'm guessing this Nero is in Avarice. Even though the basic is hitting fairly hard, I'm thinking it's an Avarice because if it was in Dragon Scale, it would be hitting a little bit harder. But I could be wrong. Yeah, so here I'm trying to loop back around to Jocasta's other abilities, but even on her basic, she does heal. So she's going to heal up Jonathan a little bit there, you see, with the 2500. Again, a nice counterattack from Levi. And then here, I'm trying to hit down Nero. So I get 2 deflects, which was unlucky, but then I did get, you know, Levi's ultimate proc, where he deals 5 times the amount of damage. So that was nice. And I got lucky here with not only a dodge from Levi, but then he also countered and didn't weak hit. So that kind of wrapped up the game there with that nice dodge. So Levi on full display there. So let's move on to the next one. All right, so here we have a rematch. So I end up going with my same ban, which is Holy Armor Virgil. I mean, it worked out for me last match. So here, I'm just waiting to see who he picks first. See if he goes Nero again, or if he switches it up. Yeah, so here, he's first picking Halia, so I'm going to pick my Nero, because my Nero is strong, and then I'm also picking Ashlyn, just because, again, she's just a really great hero. I'm planning on, you know, making a guide on her now that she's fully booked, too, which is awesome. So here, he goes into Aurea and Dark Valeria. So Dark Valeria is just a real problem, especially at A1. Like, her kit is totally unbalanced, but that's kind of how it is for most of the light and darks. So here, you know, I bring in the Jocasta for the Aurea if I end up wanting to ban Halia. She's also kind of good to help survive, you know, a big nuke from Dark Valeria if I don't end up banning her. And here I'm debating on going Jonathan for more tank, or if I'm going to try and go a control route, which I end up choosing with Galeno, just because he's a really good counter to Halia. But then he brings in Shark Solandre, which is a good counter to Galeno. And right now, I'm in a pickle, because if I pick Jabez to counter Shark Solandre, he can pick Dark Nick. And Dark Nick is someone that he can jump into with Halia and then deal a lot of damage immediately with his ult. So I'm waiting to see what he does here, and he ends up going with Dark Nick anyway. So now I can either pick Jabez and counter Shark Solandre and then ban someone like Halia, but then I'm stuck you know, with Shark Solandre, Dark Nick, Dark Val, and Aurea. So right now, it's at the point where I've kind of lost. But I think I try and survive here with Jonathan anyway. But he's in a pretty good spot to just ban Jonathan. And because I was expecting him to ban Jonathan, I picked Shark Solandre because I didn't want him to be able to counter the Galeno. So anyway, here he just jumps right into Dark Val, and you'll see, like, Dark Val can just A1 and one-shot Galeno for 27k. It's just like, I don't know. There's no way to counter these heroes, which is a bit of a bummer. But here at this point, you know, one-shots the Galeno. I can't silence anybody. And then, yeah, she is gonna knock down Jonathan enough where I can't do anything. My only hope right now is to get back around to Ashlyn to try and stun, but right now she has that speed up. Thankfully, I'm able to still outspeed, but here again I'm kind of in a pickle because I want to stun Dark Nick, but I can't do it just because the Aurea continues to taunt my Nero. So now I'm just in a rough spot. The only thing I can hope for is that Ashlyn loops back around to her ult on the light side. But his Halia is fully booked, it looks like, because he was able to loop back around to the extra turn on the S2, and then, Val can just ignore defense on her A1, 80% ignore defense if you don't have a buff. So she can hit Ashlyn if she wanted to. But she ends up going with the ultimate and stuns her anyway. So now she's not a threat, and she just kills her on the end of the turn. with a 16k hit. So yeah, this one I got outdrafted. I didn't pick well. The Galeno pick ended up being really bad. So it is what it is. On to the next one. Okay, and in this one, this is Vermine, who's a pretty good player. I've seen him in normal arena. He's got some good units. I think I remember him having a Shark Solandre. I don't think I ever get confirmation in that. But anyway, he pre-bans Light Nick, which I do have A1. I tend to not pick Light Nick that much anymore. Jonathan's a really hard counter to him, and there's a lot of Garnets and Aubreys running around, so he is a good pick if I'm able to get a speed advantage and they have some squishy characters. But yeah, Light Nick is usually towards the back end of my picks here. So he's first picking Aurea, which is never a bad pick. Aurea counters a lot of things in the meta, so solid pick from Vermine there. And then he ends up going, with this guy. I forget his name. I'm gonna look that up real quick. His name is Alistair. So Alistair is actually, he's really good if he gets a chance to go. The problem is he's fairly squishy, but he does have this thing on his passive. He has a passive that the very next person in the turn order, so my first person will get to go unscathed, but then the person who goes next will be stunned. So it's actually kind of a cool combo with Aurea and Alistair, because Alistair can hit the second person and Aurea hits the first person with the taunt, so it's kind of nice. That's why I brought in Jocasta, and then I picked Ashlyn, again, just because she's a great hero, and for some reason he picks Rosalie. So Rosalie is really good. The problem is, and I've talked about this in our team's Discord, but Rosalie just gets hard countered by Ashlyn, and I'm pretty sure you see it in this match. Here I pick Levi because Levi is my other counter pick to Holy Armor Virgil. If Levi ever gets some, more than maybe 2 or 3 rounds, and his attack starts stacking up from just the time limits, he can end up one-shotting Holy Armor Virgil if he gets enough dodges. And then I went with Alicia because I'm planning on banning Aurea here, and that allows me to snipe Alistair so he doesn't stun Ashlyn, and then Ashlyn can stun Rosalie. So that's my plan. He ends up banning Nero, which I guess makes sense considering that Nero would possibly one-shot Rosalie. But here, everything worked out. I'm able to one-shot Alistair, like I said, and now I can just stun Rosalie, and she's basically incapacitated. So here, I put do I do defense up and immunity? No, okay, so I'm just chipping down Jabez because Jabez can take out my Jocasta, and I don't want that. So I end up killing him with Levi. I don't know if the true strike there mattered or not. And now it's basically Holy Armor Virgil against my entire team. And he's in a pickle here because all 3 of my units, my damage dealing units, are kind of a threat against him. So he ends up cooling down my ultimate there, and now I'm just focusing on Rosalie before she gets unstunned. I heal up my Alicia here. Oh no, okay, so I do the ult. This is to protect against the AoE attack from Holy Armor Virgil, because that can hit pretty hard. Yeah, which he ends up doing. I do get a counterattack from Levi, and then it's just game over. I was still in a really strong position there, even if Levi didn't proc. But anyway, so that was that one. On to the next. Alright, so it's another rematch against Vermine. I think I end up going, and banning SSA again. And he sticks with Nicholas. So that was interesting. I think because of, how well I did in that last match, I think I end up going the same route, just first picking Nero. So he ends up picking Ashlyn this time, and then going Aurea. So I'm picking Alicia because she's in there to counter opposing Ashlyns. I also picked Jabez, who's very good against Ashlyn as well, if she ever tries to switch from in between like light and dark mode. He's a nice counter there, and also he's a pretty good pick against some tanks. He's decent against Holy Armor Virgil. He'll be good against Alistair. So Jabez is just a really solid pick in RTA. I just go with Levi here as a general good pick, and then Zoltan in case he ends up being able to hit some of my weaker units, because he may end up banning Nero again. And Levi, Jabez, Alicia, they can be somewhat squishy if they have the right counter. So here, I ban Aurea, he leaves my Alicia, so that allows me to snipe his Ashlyn. So that ended up working in my favor. So there, Alistar tried to stun Levi. That kind of worked out in my favor here, because I have the opportunity to kill him. And lucky for me, Levi's ultimate procced. So again, we're in a pretty good position here. I think he has to go after the Jabez, which he does, and he kills him. But the problem is that makes my my Zoltan stronger. So Zoltan deals a nice healthy bit of damage to Holy Armor Virgil and Lydia, which is nice. Just for FYI, splash damage can't actually be dodged, so Lydia and Levi can't dodge splash damage, if anybody's wondering, but that allows me to take him down to a lower lower health on the Holy Armor Virgil. And then I got the double proc on Lydia there. I got the ultimate and and the ×5 damage, so I'm sure he was salty. But let's move on to the next one. So our next match here is against Hate, which is another content creator, actually. It's a Russian, I believe he's Russian, streamer, Good or Food. Strong player. I do know that he has a Zoltan, and I think because I know that, I end up first picking him here. Because he has a lot of light and darks, and I don't want to get, my one light and dark that I use here as a legendary snipe from me. So I first pick him there, and then he goes Corrupt Aurak and Holy Armor Virgil. So right now I pick Nero and Ashlyn, which are good counter picks to Holy Armor Virgil, with full intention of banning Corrupt Aurak at this point in the draft. So then he picks Jabez, which is a good counter pick against Ashlyn. and it's a nice pick against Zoltan as well, and it can be against Nero in some instances, but my Nero has pretty high attack. Here he brings in Adet, I think is her name, so I bring in Alicia for that counter pick, and then I pick Levi just as another general issue for him to bring some RNG into effect here. So yeah, right now it's between Corrupt Aurak and Dark Nick, but because I have Ashlyn, I figured the Dark Nick would be okay, and I didn't want to lose to the RNG of Corrupt Aurak. Yeah, so here, because my Levi is faster than his Adet, Adoet, or whatever, I end up stunning the Dark Nick, because I was hoping Levi would kill her, which ended up happening. So here he ends up going after Nero. I'm trying to take out his Jabez. I got I ended up getting an extra turn. I don't know if that was from the healing of Holy Armor Virgil. I think it was that she procced there. Oh, it might have been from some kind of buff removal. I can't really remember. I'll have to go back and rewatch this slower and see what happened. But yeah, I mean, right here, I'm just in a really good position. I have all of these counterattacks going on. I do, right now, because Ashlyn was killed, I need to target this Dark Nick before he wraps back around. So yeah, I end up just attacking him to get him out of the way, and now I'm just focusing on Holy Armor Virgil, and he just gives up. So yeah, that was the last match for this session, guys. So you know, if you like this format, you know, just let me know, and I'll continue to make videos like this and cut through the matchmaking and stuff like that, so I'll be able to show more RTA videos. So hope you enjoy, and I'll catch you on the next one.